All right. Well, to greet you on a Monday morning, we've got in as many rounds as possible circuit, but not in the usual way. So we've just got pairs of exercises. So we're going to spend 6 minutes going back and forth between two different exercises. And we're going to do that for 3 sets, or like 3 pairs of exercises. We're only doing each one once, right? So we're not coming back to these exercises after we do them. So you're going to do 10 reps of everything. Just keep the numbers really simple. 10 reps of everything. The first pair is going to be a squat jump and alternating side planks. So the squat jump is just like a goblet squat, but then instead of just standing up, you're jumping off the ground, whatever level you feel comfortable with. All right, so you won't be using weight for this one. So we're just squatting down and then jumping up, squatting down, jumping up. So if jumping for you just means, letting your heels come up off the ground, then that works. Just making sure that you're nice and strong with the landing. The alternating side plank is going to be, you can choose whether you want to do it on your elbows or from your hands. I just think it's easier to transition if you're on your hands. So you're in a push-up position like this, and then you'll leave the balls of your feet pretty much right where they are, and just tilt everything to the side, stack your shoulders up on top of each other, and then tip to the other side. That's the alternating side plank. So we'll do that for 6 minutes, 10 of each, back and forth, back and forth. The next one, a goblet squat and a row. Row is going to be kind of whatever you have available. If you happen to have TRX around, like a TRX row is nice. But if you're just using a dumbbell, it's probably going to be a bent over row variation where you're like this, pulling the weight up or pulling your elbow up towards the ceiling. If you have a band, that will work too. The final pair is a deadlift and a push-up. So deadlift is just picking something up off the floor. We'll keep your back nice and flat, a little bit of knee bend. So we're just picking up, make sure whenever you set it down or tap it to the floor, it's going to be right in between your shoelaces. So we're keeping it nice and close to your center of mass. Last one is a push-up. So whatever variation you do for 10, we just go back and forth between the two. So there's lots of combinations of pushing and pulling here. So with that, it's pretty straightforward. There's not much to memorize. All you got to do is remember 2 different exercises. I put it in the chat again just in case we missed it the first time. But let's go ahead and jump on the roller. And really, let's focus on the front today. So we're going to roll the front of your shins and the front of your thighs. Nice group this morning. Morning, everybody. All right, so rolling the front of your shins, you're going to get to the outside. And rolling the other side. Just takes a couple passes up and down. And let's go ahead and put your thighs on the roller. Move it so that the roller is off to the side so that you're only rolling one thigh at a time. It's going to let you get up higher on your leg. We want to get all the way up to your waistband, or that point on your hip where your hip flexor plugs into your hip bone. So we're rolling all the way up. If you want to take it in segments, you can take it in segments, meaning you kind of roll in a few different places down close to your knee, and then move the roller up. Then move around the middle of your thigh, and then move it up and roll the top part of your thigh. That's good. All right, while we're on one leg, you're just going to roll over to your side. So instead of rolling the front of your thigh, Now you're rolling over on your side. We're going to roll the inside of your thigh. This is one that usually gets left out of the, the favorites list. So we want to make sure we do this every now and again. Ideally, we're getting each of these every day, but it's not always realistic. All right, let's go ahead and switch to the other side. So you're rolling the front of your other thigh now. Part of the warm-up effect here too is not just the rolling, but also you moving yourself around on the roller. So we're getting lots of things warmed up just by sort of moving around on the floor. Which one? All right, rolling over to your side. Bring that knee up even with your waistband. Rolling the inside of your thigh. And let's go ahead and sit on top of the roller. The only equipment you'll need today is one weight. I think, let's see, you could do the row with the band. Other than that, everything else can be pretty much body weight if it needs to be. The row is hard to do. It's hard to find a body weight substitute for the row. But if you got one weight, you should be okay. Probably use the same weight for everything. I'm not breaking any deadlift records, but just fine for me at this point. All right, so let's move that roller to about your mid-back. Pick up your hips, we're rolling up and down your spine. Get a little different feel by where you put your hands, whether they're over your head, up towards the ceiling, giving yourself a hug. Each one of those arm positions give you a little bit more or less pressure on your shoulder blades as you roll. Okay, good. Let's curl up on your side while we're down here. You can either use the roller and put your knee up on it like we did when we were rolling the inside of your thigh, or you just stack your knees up on top of each other, whichever you like. So from here, we're going to take your thumb and trace it along the ground. So we're going to draw a big rainbow up over your head by keeping your thumb down close to the ground. If it's not on the ground, that's okay. We're just looking for that big rainbow over your head. Once you get to here, you're going to close up over the top. So you won't trace your thumb back along the ground. So only as you're opening, you're going to trace your thumb along the ground. Try to watch it with your eyes the whole time. And we'll close up. So take your time with each rep. We're not counting reps here. We're going to count time. Got about 15 seconds left. Making sure as you open up that your knee stays right where it was. So if you got your knee on the roller shouldn't move. If your knees are stacked up on top of each other, they should stay stacked up. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides. Remember, we're trying to watch your hand with your eyes as you go. If this bothers your shoulder at all, we don't need to go up and over. We can just keep your arm in close. Point your chest up at the ceiling. That's no problem. And good, relax. Go ahead and roll over to your back. Push your heels up towards the ceiling. If you need to hold a leg to keep that stretch, go ahead and do that. But we're just gonna go ahead and drop your heel down to the floor, tap to the floor, and alternate as you go. So we're getting core warm up here. It actually takes lots of control to keep the one thing steady while you move the other. So lots of dynamic control. And good. From there, you're gonna give one knee a hug. So pull one knee into your chest, pressing your heel down through the floor, lifting up. And let's switch sides. Always keeping your thigh nice and close to your chest, even if it means that you're not picking your hips up that far off the floor. It's not about how high you get your hips. It's about just using that hip range of motion. And relax. From there, let's come up to a knee. So we'll just get a hip flexor stretch here. Hands will come up on top of your head. From here, we're gonna tilt down, try to point your elbow and ear at the floor, and coming back up. So we'll just work reps here. Try to make sure your elbows are pointing straight away from each other. And you're gonna be tilting toward your up knee side. So the side that's long right now, we're kind of making it longer by stretching that side. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides. Make sure this tilt is from the top down. So we're thinking your head moves first and it sort of pulls the rest of your spine with it. The top part of your spine is made to be more flexible than the bottom part of your spine. You get less and less range of motion as you get down towards your hips. So we want to make sure that we use that range of motion from the top down, rather than finding somewhere in the middle to crease. And good. Okay, from there, we'll come up to standing. We'll come up, give your knee a hug, up and across. Then we'll step back into a lunge. So bring that knee up and across. So your knee's coming straight up, but you're gonna pull your shin across in front of you. Should feel a stretch in the back of your hip. We'll work one side. Remember, depth of the lunge is whatever you need right now. So if they're shallow right now, if you're not getting your knee to the floor, that's okay. We're just warming up. All right, let's switch sides. And relax. Okay. So we'll get started in about 20 seconds here. Remember, the first pair is a squat jump with an alternating side plank. So alternating side plank is 10 each side. The squat jump is 10 total. Remember, the jump is going to be whatever a jump is for you. So we'll get started in 5 seconds here. No weights needed. 3, 2, 1, and off we go. Working back and forth in that pair for 6 minutes. Remember, on that side plank, we want to think of your midsection as just one piece. So everything should be rolling together rather than sending your hips over there first and letting your shoulders follow. Trying to stack hips right up on top of each other. Just letting the balls of your feet roll so you don't have to stack your feet up. On the jumps, make sure your knees are staying apart. So we don't want those knees to fold in towards each other. Think about spreading the floor apart with your feet. We're 2 minutes in, 4 minutes to go here, gang. Halfway through this set, 3 minutes to go. One way to change up the side plank if needed. The alternating side plank can be done from your knees if you need to. So you'd be here kind of in that push-up position like you're going to do a push-up from your knees. Then we just roll over to your side. Stack your knees up on top of each other. Not quite as easy to transition, but it does take quite a bit off of the side plank. One minute to go. At the end of this minute, we'll have 1 minute to rest, then we'll get back into the next pair. Make sure that squat jump gets a little bit of a squat into it. So we're getting down a little bit into a deep squat. Carol, Jack must be back in school. You've got his name. At least I assume that's Carol. Guess I shouldn't assume. Might be Jack. He's a workhorse. 5 seconds left. 3, 2, 1, and relax. 1 minute to rest. Next pair is a goblet squat and a row. So you'll use a weight for this. Goblet squat is sort of like a squat jump where you don't leave the ground. That weight's going to come up here. If holding here puts pressure on your low back or gives you fatigue in your low back, you can just as easily hold the weight here. Make sure on a squat, your chest is going to keep facing forward. Right, so whether you're here or holding down low, you should be able to see your t-shirt logo in the camera the whole time. A deadlift, you're holding here, you're going to push your hips back. There's more hip bend than knee bend. So that's the difference there. The row, you can just hold with 2 hands and pull it into your belly button. You can hold with 1 hand. Lots of options there. Really all it is pulling a weight close to you. All right, let's get started. 2, 1, and here we go. 10 goblet squats, 10 rows of your choice. I might recommend doing one-handed rows because it gives you a little bit more time. Otherwise, you'll be back to doing goblet squats in about 15 seconds. So unless you're a huge goblet squat fan, I would do a one-handed row. Make sure in your squats you're keeping your feet nice and flat on the floor. On the squats, think about pushing your hips back first, like you're reaching back for the couch. Three minutes down in this pair, 3 minutes to go. Remember on that squat, we're trying to get down to about parallel with your thighs. So the top of your thighs should be parallel to the floor. Minute and a half left. Last minute. Thirty seconds left. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. 1 minute. Last pair is a deadlift and push up. All right, so for the deadlift, weight's going to be in between your ankles, okay, or in between your shoelaces. We're hinging over, not as much knee bend as the squat, so maybe a little bit, but most of the bend is going to come from your hips here. So first thing that happens is pushing your hips back towards the wall behind you, and that's going to fold you in half to go get the weight. Right, so if going to the floor doesn't work for you, you can bring the weight up closer by setting it on a pillow or a block, or just don't go down all the way. Push-ups you can make harder by putting a band over your shoulder blades or elevating your feet. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And of course, to make push-ups easier, you can either go from your knees or elevate your hands onto the front or back of a couch or whatever you have around. We're rounding down till you get that hamstring stretch. Then you're going to use that hamstring stretch, that tension, pull down with the back of your legs to stand your upper body up. Trick on the push-ups also, spread your fingertips as wide as you can. So the more you can stretch all those tissues up your arms, think about screwing your hands into the ground. So your hands will be stationary, but if you think about kind of rotating or screwing your hands into the ground with nice wide fingertips, that tension on your tissue will give you a little bit of spring. So you'll be able to work through your push-ups a little bit easier. In theory. Also making sure on your push-ups, we don't want elbows pointing out to the side, flaring out to the side. We want them, they don't have to be glued to your ribs, which are going to be somewhere in between, maybe pointing backwards at about 45 degrees, somewhere in there. So we don't want those sticking straight out to the side. It really puts a lot of strain and stress on your shoulder. Just under 3 minutes to go. We're already over halfway. This pair goes back and forth pretty quickly because there's nothing that you have to do each side, unless you're doing one arm push-ups. Two minutes left. All right, 1 minute left to go. Last minute of the day. Make sure you're finishing all deadlifts, so push your hips all the way forward into your arms. Stand up tall. "20 seconds left. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take a second. Bring your heart rate down or back down. So if you have something that reads your heart rate, you can actually look and watch it come down. It says mine's at 68 right now, which is wildly inaccurate. By the way, if you have a wrist-based heart rate monitor, they tend to be a lot less accurate or a lot lower than the chest strap. So if you want something that's a little bit more accurate, you're better off wearing the chest strap versus the wrist-based. I think there's forearm ones now that are okay, but the chest strap is still the best. And they're building them into apparel now, like especially women. They'll build it right into the sports bra, which is nice. A lot of the problem is like it falls down on people or slips down. So there are ways to make it work a little bit better. There's guys, they almost look like Dickies or tank tops that sort of hold them on. So there are ways to do it. They're a little bit more comfortable. Wrist-based can be close, maybe. I don't think mine was close. It said the highest I got was 90 today, which is definitely not true. So just catching your breath. Let's take a second to get tall. Pull those shoulder blades back and down in your back. Get that tall, proud posture going. Let's take 3 more breaths while I get everybody's name written down. Okay. All right. Good start to your week, everybody. Enjoy the warm weather today. Maybe we get a little rain. Who knows? But good to see all you guys. Great group this morning. And we'll see you soon.